Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Swap Convention with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We've covered this week's Marvel books. Now it's time to move on to, well, other publishers. Kicking things off, we've got Magic the Gathering number 24. And this is the Secret Planeswalker variant, so let's take a quick peek as to what the actual cover looks like. This time around, instead of being focused on a single Planeswalker, we have Nico Eris and Kaya facing off against Cyclops. So, where we left off, Nico and Kaya had gone to Ixalan to speak with Vraska and Jace, as they were fairly certain they'd figured out just what it was Aminatou, Asona, and Hiri were up to. Meanwhile, on Amonkhet, Chandra, Liliana, and Garruk had shown up to, well, stop Nahiri from releasing Merit Lage. During their attempt to do so, it seemed as though Ralzeric had been killed. So we begin on Ixalan. One of the, while everyone was discussing what was going on, while Tomek, Kaya, Vraska, and Jace was discussing what was going on, Aminatu's moths appeared, and so Nico suggests that nobody move, and starts to say that if one of the moths touches you, but they're cut off by Aminatu, stating that they're merely a sign. Obedient servants whom she sends to remind their fellow insects they're one and all ensnared in the web of fate. But apparently Aminatu and Nico are... Well, Aminatu seems glad to see Nico again, though they are courteous enough to return the sentiment. But Aminatu explains that the Planeswalkers have to go to Amonkhet, and on Amonkhet, Ral isn't dead yet, and Garruk's about to remedy that, but Liliana stops him. And, well, to be fair, Garruk has no problem with killing Liliana. She did kind of screw him over pretty bad a while back. And she pleads her case to Garruk, and Garruk's like, okay, fine, I'll kill both of you. But Merit Lage is released and takes control of Chandra. And Merit Lage also managed to take control of Liliana and Garruk. And Merit Lage intends to find the Mind Mage and spread the word of Merit Lage through eternity once more. However, Jace, Vraska, Kaya, and Nico arrive, and Jace is able to free Chandra from, as well as Garruk and Liliana from Merit Lage's influence. The plan being to regroup on Ravnica. And they leave, though, no, Merit Lage is still on Amonkhet. On Ravnica, Jace is trying to convince Ral to help, but his husband Tomek is just like, no, hey, look. I know there's always a threat to the multiverse, but just you know, basically let him stay. And so, but Jace is able to find out where. Well, Jace knows where Nicol Bolas is imprisoned, and tells everyone to meet him there. Should be the ruins of Madara on Dominaria. But the hedron that was being used to keep Barrett Lage imprisoned has been brought there. Nahiri does not entirely like working with Bolas. Bolas talks a big game about the mending and how it stole from the planeswalkers. But he states that, however, he states that he kind of takes there's an approach of modern science is brought up. Where did the energy from the mending go? All the planeswalkers, and so it turns out that Bolas' plan isn't to undo the mending, but rather to take all the excess energy of all the planeswalkers into himself. They're causing a rending. Our quintet of heroes arrive. Our quintet of heroic planeswalkers arrive. Or actually, it should probably be a sextet, but I'm not seeing. Oh yeah, okay. There's Kaya. But the heroic planeswalkers arrive, and yeah, that whole they're much less willing to hear out excuses from Nahiri and Asona because, well, Bolas. With and you get the whole thing of hey, you don't think that Asona's made it already? Yeah, Asona's aware that Bolas will betray her, and she's planned for that. And but Jace makes a good point. Everyone does that. Everyone that works with Bolas does that, and they always fail. Quick point was made that apparently Liliana stopped off for a costume change, though she explained that justifying herself by saying that she doesn't want to die dressed as anything but herself. Liliana tries to reason with Osona, but once again, Liliana brings up that, yeah, he's not undoing he's tricked Osona. He's not adding that Bolas isn't undoing the mending. He's opening a time rift. And the energies managed to knock Osona unconscious, or close to unconscious, and the pod, in the form of his gem, is crushed. And well, Bolas turns his attention to the planeswalkers, and that is where the issue ends. Okay, so Bolas Redux. Okay, not a bad issue. Just it's like, I mean, to be fair, I'm in the midst of loving the Phyrexia, the Phyrexia arc in the card game, but even though yes, it is basically continuing on the from sort of at least the original Phyrexian story, but still there are differences, and you don't have it may be Phyrexia that's the current big bad, but it's not Yawgmoth again. It's Elish Norn. Anyway, moving on though to our next book, we've got Blue Beetle Graduation Day #4. Where we left off, Jaime had learned a bit about the Horizon, this splinter sect of the Reach from Starfire, and well, Dynasties, their current representative on Earth, is still being held by Cord Industries. So, and Jaime's best friends announced they were coming down to Palmero City, and with them was Fadeaway. So we open with Ted, Cord, and his sister just talking about things, and apparently his sister legitimately believes that eventually they may have to, view Jaime as a threat. Speaking of Jaime, he's eating with his friends and Fadeaway and wanting to know what the hell's going on with them bringing her there. And it's explained that her grandfather was a thief, had the original Fadeaway man. You got the Cloak of Cagliostro, and granted him all sorts of powers: invisibility, tangibility, flight, the classics. But he mostly uses it to rob people. He also uses it to fight Batman, Green Arrow, Hawkman. Apparently, her grandpa really hates Hawkman. But one day the cloak said, "Nah." It's like, "Nah, I'm good," and attached itself to her. And apparently, her grandfather had stolen a lot of magical artifacts over the time and sold them to others, and so now she's trying to return. What she's trying to do now is retrieve those artifacts and get them back to their rightful owners. And one of them is in the hands of Victoria Cord. So, and Jaime does suggest try asking, but Faye's like, no. We're just probably not giving stuff up. I mean, she'll probably deny having it at first, and then. So they form a plan. Which seems to go well. Fadeaway will slip in, basically prevent the security cameras from actually working for a bit, and then Jaime can get to the vault and get the item that Fadeaway is looking for. In doing so, Jaime discovers where Jamara, the human host for Dynasties, is being currently kept. But again, the plan continues to go on. Though Jaime tries to convince Jamara that he's not a threat, regardless of what her scarab is tells her. She doesn't entirely believe him, but yeah. So they find the bag, and Jaime has to use the scarab to deactivate the force field, which she does a little bit more than that, and releases Jamora. She escapes through a big old hole in the side of the building, which Fadeaway basically says, "Hey, cool, got an escape route." Victoria and Ted come to see what's going on, and Blue Beetle and Jaime calls Victoria out on buying buying items from supervillains. She's like, "Yeah, I am. They're not credible. They're not the most credible sellers, but trying to keep them here out of buying stuff like that off them keeps them out of the hands. Basically gives her a way to reverse engineer and or in the case of tech, reverse engineer and use it as a means of protecting the Earth. In the case of mystical stuff, largely just make sure that no one that might go a little nuts with magic gets a hold of it. And yeah, with Dynasties, Starfire shows up and there's a talk about what's going on, and Jaime's scared that they're going to tell Batman, and Blue Beetle says, this is Batman we're talking about. He already knows. Back at the Batcave, Batman's basically set up a team to bring in Dynasties, and potentially also Jaime. Team consisting of Black Condor, Cyborg, Flash, Jessica Cruz, Green Lantern, and Shazam. And he instructs them to not let Blue Beetle stand in their way. And that is where the issue ends. Yeah, I mean, it's Batman. If he feels someone needs an eye kept on them, he's keeping an eye on them. And is usually informed of anything that might be going on with them fairly quickly. And likely has already got a contingency plan in place. Maybe not already in motion, but at least in place. Or whoever it is he's watching. Moving on, though, to our next book, we've got Starfire the Lost Children, number 4. Where we left off, Corky, the Time Master, had shown up on the island and basically, insisted on being the one that would lead everyone out of there. So, Corky explains gives kind of something of his history with all this. Apparently, the Time Masters were going through the time stream when they saw Barry run back and basically cause Flashpoint. They managed to escape into the Divine Continuum. But it turns out that the chicken lady who brought them there, the childminder, intends to sell the children. And Corky says it's all Batman's fault. Basically, Batman's portion of what happened in Flashpoint Beyond means that they were released from where they were being kept in stasis and put back in the timeline. Though in the present, not basically the timeline wasn't properly prepared, which is why they're all in the present rather than in the past. But apparently, Corky intends to send everyone back to the point where they disappeared. Wing bringing up, he was fighting Nebula Man with the Seven Soldiers of Victory, and he wants to get back to that battle. But I'm guessing that Wing isn't supposed to survive that, and Stargirl's trying to say, maybe not send them back to the point where they were taken. But Corky's set in his ways as well. He wants to prove to be the best time master, the greatest time master. Turn. We found out that Secret from Young Justice is one of Childminder's prisoners. But her buyer is about to show up, and so Judy Garrick has to is having to run, but with oh god, I can't even remember it. But with the Green Arrow's sister basically insisting, "Hey, run as fast, try and overload with your speed, try to overload the treadmill with your speed, break the machine." And so but something seems to be going wrong, and Airwave is affected by temporal energies. Corky leads the children into battle, dealing with the eggs, the egg creature robots, and they do manage to make their way through, and we find out that the Childminder's buyer is Hourman, like Hourman 3, the robot Hourman from the future, and that is where the issue ends. I would not have expected Hourman 3 to be the buyer. I'm guessing, I'm hoping at least that it's more okay, knowing that Childminder has children and his plans or his intentions with buying them from her are noble. But we'll get to see that with the rest of the series. Moving on though to our next book, we've got The Human Target, number 12, wrapping up the miniseries. Where we left off, Human Target had figured out the truth. Ice is the one who poisoned him. Kind of banking on the idea that no one would ever suspect her. So, day 12. The human target is dead. Ice comes to see him. Basically positions his body in a manner that's, it appears restful. And there's a letter left for her, though. And she finds out, she has a bit of a cry, and before she continues to cry after reading the letter. 5 days later, she goes to Luigi's and has a meal, glass of wine, then goes to talk to Fire. We kind of get some brief fill-in moments of what happened after in the intervening days. Ice talked to Guy. Some story about Chance stalking her and how Guy did helped get him away. But the fact that Chance is dead is is while Fire's like, okay, yeah, okay, we're in the clear, but Ice does what she can to comfort, or Fire does what she can to comfort Ice. Later, a few days later, she's talking about the whole thing with, she's talking about the entire thing with Martian Manhunter, and that Martian Manhunter is investigating Christopher Chance's death, and that Ice is a suspect. Or at least a person he intends to speak to in his investigation. However, Ice points out that his relationship with as leader of the JLI, his relationship with Fire is a conflict of things, and well, maybe, but perhaps that could just be ignored for the time being if she's given point on the investigation into the human target's death. And even adding that if anyone asks why he had her do it, it's because, well, she's just so sweet. But there's a bottle that Chance left her. She's sitting on a block of ice in the ocean when Guy shows up, and they talk about things, and well, it seems like Guy's trying to rekindle things, but Fire has other ideas and knocks him on the head with the bottle. But what you gonna do? She takes out the bottle. We have a brief flashback to the last issue where they talked, and shared their last moments together. And the bottle turns out has more of the poison that Chance has, and so she goes to speak to Lex Luthor about the entire thing, pouring both of them, and they're both poured a drink, and Luthor drinks it, and that is where the series ends. This was actually one of those I really was not sure how it was going to end. I had no idea. The best I could figure was something like the last issue would be focused on Human Target and trying to wrap up his affairs, and then he thinks it's over. Oh, hey, we found a way to save you, but it wasn't. Yeah. Great series though. Been loving every issue. Just wow. Like I said, not a book that I expected to love as much as I did. Moving on though to our last book's moment, we have Sergeant Rock vs. the Army of the Dead, number 6, also wrapping up the series. Where we left off, Sergeant Rock was face to face with Adolf Hitler himself, zombified. So, while Easy Company's dealing with the zombie Nazi grunts, Sergeant Rock's dealing with their Fuhrer. And he works Hitler over pretty good, preventing him from injecting himself with more of the reanimate. And Hitler tries to gas Rock, but well, Rock's not a dumb guy, and so he pulls out his lighter and Yeah, he eyes on a locker that's been knocked over and pulls out his lighter and burns the gas out of the air. An ordnance drop has been requested, and Rock finishes things up by taking a hand grenade out, sticking it in Hitler's mouth, and basically tying it around them, much as he did earlier in the series with a zombie head, and I think pushing him out of the room, and well, from like the waist up, no more Fuhrer. But the ordnance is dropped, bomb, and the building goes up. Easy Company is about to take off their hats and respect, have a moment for the Sarge, but he survived. Makes his way out of the building and somewhere out of the rubble and collapses. A couple weeks later, he's recovering, and the brass comes to him. Apparently, he's been assigned to been given a new assignment, working with the Division of Anomalous Phenomena. Weird shit. But it suggested Rock take some time off, and well, the brass will be in touch. And that is where the series ends. It does say instead of the end of it, at the end it says the beginning, so perhaps we're going to be getting more Stargirl Rock books. And hey, if they're written by Bruce Campbell, I'm all for it. I got no problem with reading Stargirl Rock book dealing with Rock fighting weird shit. So, anyway, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.